Welcome, boxing fans, to another episode of Bourbon and Boxing. I am your host, Jeff. This is episode 16, man, and we have a couple big fights on the main cards this week. We got two main fights that we will talk about this week. We'll break them both down. The Zhang versus Joyce 2 fight. Of course, that's going to be over in Wembley Stadium over in the UK. We're going to break down that fight, talk about who we think the favorite might be. Of course, I think the favorite right now is Zhang, but we'll break that down, see what Joyce has to do to get that win. That's a must-win for Joyce. Then we're going to break down the Jose Zepeda versus Richardson Hitchin. It's going to be a really, really good fight. Young guy in Hitchins coming up. 16-0 undefeated, going up against Jose Zepeda, a very tough veteran. I want to say he's 37-3 or 35-3, one of the two. But he's a very good, tough fighter, man. Definitely a guy that if you catch him on a good day, you might take an L. That is 100% for sure. But hey, this show is called Bourbon and Boxing, and today I've lost my shot glass, so I'm doing something a little dangerous. Plus, I decided to cut back a little bit on how much bourbon I actually drink on the show. The last time I had to do a retake on the show, and I ended up taking like 9 shots within like probably 1 hour. 1 hour's time. I think each show was 27 minutes, so right around an hour's time, 9 shots. It was ridiculous. I was super drunk. Not something I want to do that much. So, want to limit to what I do. Maybe 1, 2 shots a show. Keep myself, stable, upright, coherent, pretty much. That way I know what I'm saying. I can get a little mouthy. Everybody, I guess, can when you get a little drunk. But, I don't want to be that guy on here all mouthy and shitty with people. But anyways, man, like I said, it's bourbon and boxing. We are drinking a little bit of Knob Creek. I got it in my plastic cup, but I promise, guys, this is some bourbon. I just got to watch how I drink it because this is a big shot. All right, like I said, this is episode 16, man. We're going to break down the two main fights this weekend. And also give a shout out to our sponsor, Brown Family Construction. You can find them in the northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area. You can also find them on Facebook for all the information on there. Any of your construction needs, indoor or outdoor, Brown Family Construction is the place to go. And Jason Brown is a very good professional, does a great job, and the name says it all, Brown Family Construction. It is family, man. They do things like a family and treat you like family. But anyways, man, let's get to our main card. It's going to happen early for us over in the States. It's going to be early. We're going to get the Zhang versus Joyce fight early tomorrow. Once again, man, it's always great when we get an all-day boxing event. We get the fights over across the pond. And then we get the later fight here in the States, going to be over in down in Orlando, Florida, because I'm up in Ohio. So down in Orlando, Florida. But anyways, the Zhang versus Joyce 2 fight, man. I watched the conference to this, the two fighters sitting down talking. And Joyce seems to be in a jokey type mood, as if I think he should be taking it more serious. I seriously thought he should have been up there, dead stone face. This is a do or die fight, really, for Joyce, if you want to be honest, as far as him being a title contender, in my opinion, man. If he loses this fight again to Zhang, that's going to give him another loss back to back, and definitely, in my opinion, take him out of the title contention for a really long time. He'd have to do a lot to get himself back up into those talks. And I think it's pretty simple what he has to do if I'm going to break down this fight on Joyce's side, what I think he's really got to do in order to win this fight against Zhang. And it's pretty simple. Be more mobile. Move your head. Look to time that jab that Zhang's going to continue to try to hit you with. That southpaw jab. Try to time that and catch him with a big counter. And that's going to be, in my opinion, Joyce's best opportunity in that fight. If he continues to be stone foot, keeps his head down the middle, he's going to continue to get hit with that southpaw jab like he did in the last fight. That's something I don't think he wants to get into hopefully he went back and looked at that and said, okay, we know what we have to do. We got to move. It's as simple as that, man. You just can't stand there and be a set and duck for a big time puncher like Zhang, who's got a nice jab. So you got to look to time that jab that he's going to continue to try to hit you with, because that's going to be his number one utilization is the jab. So look to time that his best chance. Move your head, move your feet, move around the ring, make him kind of chase you down a little bit if you have to. Uh, Move on your right and your left, all that fun stuff. But I'd like to see Joyce. I know he's a bigger guy, and a lot of these, sometimes these bigger guys can't move like that. But I feel like Joyce he's big, but at the same time he's big, but he seems to be in shape. So I feel like if he really puts the work in, he could be a little bit mobile like that. And in today's age, in 2023, I think that's what's going to set any heavyweight apart from other heavyweights, is being able to be mobile and move your body a lot better than a lot of these other guys who are bigger and just look for that heavy big punch. Like, oh, I'm going to hit him with this one punch and knock him out. I think you got to have something more to your game. That's what makes Usyk so tough, being what he coming up, because he moves and he's mobile, and these stone foot guys like Tobias, whatever, Stonefoot like him, not really moving around. Same thing I saw with Joyce. And Zhang wasn't really moving a lot. He was just he saw an easy target, so he just kind of went to town. He didn't have to move, because another thing Joyce has got to do is you got to take chances. You got to throw punches. I felt like he didn't throw enough punches in that last fight for sure. And the first fight against Zhang, he definitely didn't throw enough punches. He wasn't moving around enough. So he's got to realize that you have to take a chance, that if you're going to let this guy hit you with that jab, that you got to try to counter at some point, and at least take an opportunity to take a big punch to give yourself a chance to end the fight. You can't go in the fight, not punch, be a setting duck, and think that you're going to have an opportunity to win that fight. Joyce or Zhang, on the other hand, for him, I don't think you come out thinking that you go with the exact same game plan that you did last time. Just hit him with that big southpaw jab to set up the big overhand right. Go for that eye. He continuously talks about he wants to go back at that eye for Joyce. So I mean, you're kind of telling him your game plan. Maybe he's trying to set Joyce up to think that he's going to target that eye to open him up for a big overhand right. But if you're Zhang, you can't go in there with that exact same game plan. You got to look and think to yourself that he's not going to go in with the same game plan. He's probably going to be more mobile. So you're going to have to be the more aggressive style fighter. Back him down, make him fight off the back foot, and then use that southpaw jab to set up your big punch. And then watch for his counters, like I said, because I think he needs to time that jab, and then try to set up a counter. But anyways, man, that fight, like I said, I think Zhang, if I had to pick somebody right now, Zhang seems to be super, super confident in himself, talking at the press conference, and then Joyce was more joking around, so I don't feel like he may be taking this fight as seriously as he really should, considering that it's going to be either a big stepping point in his career, or it's going to be a big stepping back in his career. If he loses, it's a big step back. If he wins, it's a big step forward for him to show that, hey, I can lose and then come back and make the changes I need. So let's see if he's able to do that. Zhang, like I said, is the guy that he's got the upper hand coming in. He's not the underdog like he was in the last fight. And he just needs to not go in with that same game plan, which I feel like he's going to. He kind of comes off like he doesn't feel like he has to change anything. He did what he needed to do. Joyce has to be the one that changes, which is a fact, yes, because if he changes, then you obviously are going to have to change, because that means he's trying to adapt to what you're doing. And he's obviously watched the film, all that other stuff. So Zhang is definitely going to have to go in with a different game plan, but I think maybe he's playing possum. He's trying to set Joyce up to come in and think that he's going to just target that eye and then set him up with a big punch, one-time punch, and lay him out in this fight early. Keep his interim title, and then hopefully be the next in line for Usyk. The winner of Usyk Fury or Joshua Wilder, one of those two big fights could be lined up for a guy like Zhang if he wins this fight against Joyce. I think if Joyce wins, he's still got some proving to do before we can put him in the ring against a Joshua Wilder, Usyk, or Fury. So this is a big fight for Zhang. Bigger fight for Zhang than it is Joyce. Joyce is coming off of the loss, so he's got to prove himself again. Zhang has already proven himself. He's just got to prove that he's the real deal. Take care of Joyce again to put himself in line to be the next guy for the title, to unify the titles in the heavyweight division. But hey, that fight is going to be happening on ESPN and TNT Sports. That is going to be over in Wembley. So over here in the U.S., that's probably going to be anywhere from a 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock start time that I would assume. That'll probably get the main fight around 5 o'clock here in the States. And then, ESPN likes to throw a party. No, actually, the Zone's going to be hosting the second fight. So there will be some prelims on the Zone early. I don't know how early they're going to start their prelims over there. But the Zepeda fight is in Orlando, Florida, so that's on my time over here on the East Coast. So I would say that's probably going to be anywhere from an 8, 9, 10 o'clock start time. I would say 8 or 9 o'clock start time for that main card fight over there in Florida. But breaking down that fight, now that's a big fight over in Florida. Now on the let's go back to the Joyce fight. The undercard on that, there's a lot of fights on that one. On the undercard of it, Anthony Yard, yet to be announced who he is going to be fighting. You know what I mean? All right. Looking on here to see where it's at. Like I said, it's a big undercard to be honest with you. Altogether, there's going to be 7 fights on that card. 7 undercard fights on that card. Anthony Yard. It's to be announced who he's fighting. Sam Nokus versus Carlos Perez. Zach Parker versus Khalid Gradia. Ezra Taylor versus Joel McIntyre. And it looks like Royster Barney versus Smith. And that's that's actually his full name. Smith is last name. To be announced on who he's fighting. And then there's a couple more fights on that also. And then that will take us into the fight later on with Jose Zepeda and Hitchins. And that fight, man, I didn't. I know I've seen Hitchins at least one time since at least one time, and the fight that I watched him in, I want to say it was earlier this year, his last fight actually. It went the distance. He clearly dominated the guy. What I liked about Hitchins was he has a really nice jab, man. He really lives and dies by that jab, but his jab is beautifully set up. It's got a lot of to it, and then he's got a great overhand right straight, or not overhand, but a straight right hand that is also beautiful, man. Hitchins is a tough young guy. Zepeda is a tough veteran. Uh, Man, watching this fight, they're two guys who like to punch. They like to throw punches. So breaking this fight down, Hitchinson's got to do what he does normally, continue to live and die by that jab to set up that distance, because he should have the overall, if I'm correct, he should have the reach on Jose Zepeda. But, he's got to watch Zepeda. Like I said, Zepeda is a great opportunity for him to get probably the toughest fight he's going to have to set him up for a possible bigger fight down the road with like a Josh Taylor. I don't think he's anywhere near getting a fight with Crawford yet, but possibly like a Boots Ennis or setting up a fight with Stayonis, those type of guys. But then on Jose Zepeda's side, this guy's a tough fighter, man. He's got to utilize his counters because that jab is going to be trouble for him all night. And then he's definitely got to watch that straight right that Hitchins loves to throw. Hitchinson's very fast. Zepeda's got a lot of speed to him. We all know Zepeda. Jose Zepeda's a tough, tough fighter, man. So no matter who he's going up against, you know he has that 50-50 chance of winning that night, just depending on which Zepeda shows up. Uh, and he's just, I mean, he's one of those guys. He's just mentally, he's tough and he's experienced. He's smart, ring IQ, things like that. So this fight, man, I'm going back and forth. I think the young Hitchinson might have just a smaller advantage with his jab and his straight right that he throws. Uh, I don't know if it's enough power to put Zepeda down. Now we've seen Zepeda put down plenty of times in his career. So would I be surprised if Hitchinson's able to put him down on the mat? No, I won't be surprised because that's Zepeda. But we know that he's going to get up also. It's hard to keep him down on the mat. Putting him there is not hard. Getting him to stay down is a hard part. But I like Hitchinson being the younger guy. But Jose Zepeda being the older fighter towards the end of his career like he is, I think he knows that this is the last one of the opportunity that could set him up to fight a Crawford with the name that he has, or to fight a Josh Taylor. Also, because he has the name to fight those guys, I think a better chance than Hitchison would have to fight Crawford. Maybe a good chance to fight Josh Taylor, who's just going to be moving up to the welterweight division. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple guys lined up trying to get that Josh Taylor fight, because I don't see Crawford fighting either Zepeda or Hitchinson anytime soon, to be honest with you. I would think Boots or Stayonis would have an opportunity before those guys. But, I mean, you never know. But I just don't see Crawford doing that. I think Crawford's got other plans, you know what I mean, to possibly make one more big fight at welterweight, either with Spence or to move up to 154 for like a Charlo fight, depending on what happens with Charlo and Canelo. Regardless of what happens with Charlo and Canelo, I think if Charlo comes back down, win or lose, he comes back down and Crawford would take that fight. He would move up to go fight a Charlo, I think. But with the new super belt, super champ stamp being put on Lopez, that opens up a big fight for Crawford down the road with a guy like that. So that welterweight division is slowly starting to get a little bit crowded. So, these guys need to all stop waiting around for the Crawford fight and start fighting each other like you have Zepeda Hitchison doing right now. I think Stayonis and Boots need to stop waiting around, especially Boots need to stop waiting for the Crawford fight and go ahead and fight Stayonis to give himself that one more caliber thing. And then you got Josh Taylor coming up. So, if you're Boots, you're going, okay, I can't get Crawford, maybe we can get Josh Taylor. That's another good fight right there. But the Williams Zepeda fight has a really, really good undercard. The fight that I'm looking forward to most on that undercard. Now, you got Conor Benn coming back. I don't really know what to think about that. He hasn't really been cleared by the BBBOC, and there's been no real headway between either side. Conor not ever, like, he's never going to, really come forward. To him, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything to break the rules. To the BBBOC, he clearly did. It's shown. He just hasn't provided enough for them to want to clear him of anything. So we knew that he could come over to the States and fight, but he doesn't have the name over here like he does in the UK. So let's say, for example, he's coming back, he's fighting, I think I have it on my thing who he's actually fighting. It was announced on there because I've been looking all day to see, and then finally got the announcement. Rodolfo. I'm not even going to try to say the guy's last name, but Rodolfo is his first name. He'll be fighting him tomorrow. So it's kind of a big thing for Conor Benn coming back, but it's also a slap to the BBBOC. But there's nothing they can do because he's over here in the States fighting. So I guess his thing now is he's got to try to build his name over here in the U.S. to big enough to get a crowd drawn for the Eubank Jr. fight, which I think would be the next agenda for him to try to get that fight over here in the States. Because if I'm correct, where'd that fight with Smith and Eubanks Jr. happened. I can't remember. I know that was over in the UK because that's where Bo got in a little bit of trouble at. But anyways, having Connor been on there, like I said, I really don't know what to feel about that, to be honest. Because, like I said, he never was cleared of anything. So, just kind of 50-50 watching out for that guy. Hopefully he's clean, doing things the right way like he's supposed to be. He's been out for a year now. Sometimes I feel like that's long enough, 1 year for any type of punishment for that. But like I said, there's been no headway on it, nothing come of it. But also on that card is my fight that I'm really looking forward to is the Jessica Mascal versus Sandy Ryan. I like Sandy Ryan a lot. I've been following her career. When she took that early loss, I was like, oh man, but she came back, she revenged that loss, and she's looked pretty good since, and got a chance at a belt, all that stuff, and now she's getting the chance of the biggest fight of her career, so we can really see where Sandy is at. Jessica Mascal is definitely going to be the toughest test that she's had. Really, really look forward to this fight because, like I said, I really like Sandy Ryan a lot. I think she's a good young fighter. Jessica Mascal is an incredibly good female fighter. Has a lot of belts, a lot of belts on the line here, guys. So this is going to be a banger. Could be the best fight on this whole card, in my opinion. Not better than the main card, but it should be right up there as the co-main event, in my opinion, and not below. You got Conor Benn on the co-main event. So I guess that's where you got to put him up there. It was weird how it was announced. I didn't hear anything about Conor Benn being on this card until just yesterday it was announced. Oh, well, Conor Benn's going to fight on the 23rd. And I'm like, that's fucking Saturday. So, I was kind of caught off guard with that. Also, today, the WBO put a super champ stamp on Navarrete. That will, the same thing, the same rules that apply with Lopez with the super champ is that it automatically allows you to delay some mandatories without the punishment of losing your belt. It also allows him to jump up to other weight divisions and become the mandatory, which I don't really like that because if you look at, Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson and these guys up in the lightweight division, to think that Navarrete could jump up above them and be the mandatory for Haney, it's just kind of ludicrous. Like, damn, really? So you're just going to skip over these guys? That's the only thing I hate about the super champ. And how do we decide? Navarrete has had that belt for 5 years now, so I guess he is a super champ. He gets that stretch room of obligation to say, okay, he could jump to 135 and test the waters at 135 and still have his belts on hold at 130. So there will be no obligations. He won't be punished for making those moves. So, it could be easier for him to set up a fight with Shakur now because now he could jump up to 135, fight a Shakur, and still have his belts on hold at 130, which would be probably what he might want to do because I don't know if he's quite ready to jump to 135 yet. But if he can get Shakur at a catch weight, 132, 133, something like that, that would be I think that would be a hell of a fight right there. One of the best fights. I've said it before. Going to take a small little shot here, guys. We don't have much left in this show, man. Like I said, I was going to make it quick and easy, just kind of breaking down the fights that we got going on tomorrow. Like I said, it's going to be an all-day event. We're going to get the fights over in Wembley with Zhang and Joyce too. Nice, there's 7 undercard fights on that. And then we're going to get the going into the nightcap over here in Orlando, Florida, over here in the States. We're going to get another nice card, which we'll have some undercard prelims on that also. That's going to be about 6 or 7 fights. But, Conor Benn coming back, Jessica Mascal versus Ryan Sandy. So that's going to be a really exciting card in my opinion. Not much more to talk about. Not a lot of boxing news out there at the moment. I don't really like to talk about guys chirping too much, all that fun stuff. But like I said, this was just episode 16, breaking down Saturday fights, the 2 main cards that we got coming up, guys. So once again, thanks for joining me on another episode of Bourbon and Boxing. I am your host, Jeff, and this is episode 16. Thank you guys once again, and have a good night, guys. Happy Friday.